Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to Fruition Garden. Thank you all so much for tuning in to my video again. As promised, I'm going to do a part 2 to my garden tour, and so let's get right into it. I'm going to start over here in my 4x4 raised bed, and in here I have some nasturtiums growing. These are called red Alaskan nasturtiums, and they are absolutely amazing because they're such an all-purpose herb or flower. This is, I think it's called a red Alaskan nasturtium, and this entire plant is actually edible. So the flower actually has almost a peppery taste, like a black pepper, but the stem is really sweet. And same with the leaves. The leaves are kind of spicy, but the stems are sweet, so it's a really cool combination, and it's great to add to your salads or as a garnish to any of your dishes. So I've got one of those growing here and one growing back here. These also are great for repelling certain pests like squash bugs, and they will act as a decoy if you have an aphid issue. Just grow some nasturtiums, and the aphids will be so attracted to the nasturtiums that they will leave your other plants alone. So it's a great decoy to grow as well in your garden. So that's another plus. And they're very nutritious. So these are actually high in vitamin C. So great for immunity, great for protecting you against colds and viruses. And they're also high in lutein, I think that's how you pronounce it, lutein, which is great for your eyes, great for the eyesight. So, I mean, you just can't go wrong with growing this herb in your garden. Highly recommend. It's an all-purpose thing, really. In between that, I've got some tarragon. I'm sorry, I keep calling this tarragon, but this is actually savory, but it looks a lot like tarragon. This is some savory. I believe I showed this in my first video, but I have it growing so many areas in the garden. And this one is looking a bit interesting right now because it has a bunch of webs on it. So I'm thinking there may be a spider mite infestation or something of that nature. But we'll see what happens. I'll probably cut that off at some point. That's just what comes with natural and organic gardening. And over here I've got some basil. This is, I think it's large leaf Italian basil. Got 2 of them growing here, and I recently cut it down so that it can bush out more and so that it won't go to flower. But look at how beautiful these leaves look. So healthy. It smells amazing, and this is also really good for you. Not only is it a great seasoning, a great herb to use when you're cooking, but it has lots of health benefits such as helping with chronic diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis. So really great. You can make a tea with it, or you can just incorporate it into your everyday meals. So again, you just can't go wrong with herbs. I highly recommend growing lots of herbs in your garden. They're just amazing. In between, I have an eggplant. I'm not sure what variety this is, but it's doing okay. And hopefully soon it'll size up and really take off. In front of that, I have some African basil. These leaves are pretty stunning. I love the pattern, the venation on these leaves is really pretty. And this tastes really good. It definitely has a basil flavor, but it's kind of mixed with anise and fennel, if I can describe. That's how I would describe the flavor of this. It's like basil, anise, and fennel all in one. So that's my African basil. If you've ever grown this or ever tried it, let me know how you would describe the flavor of this. It's really delicious. And I heard that it's great for making pesto. So if I can get enough leaves, I think I'll try that. Over to the left, we have a 51 melon, aka cantaloupe, and look at how healthy and green and luscious these leaves are. So I just love looking at this plant. Not only are the leaves beautiful, I love the size, I love the shape of them. They're really pretty. They almost look like a lily pad. But this is growing kind of in a hill of lots of compost and organic matter, and I think that this plant really is loving that. So there's the tip where it gets longer and longer, and hopefully we'll have some flowers come on there soon, but we're not rushing that because we want all the greenery to get really strong and lush and plentiful before it starts to bear fruit, because stronger leaves means stronger fruit. So there's the cantaloupe. And then coming back around here, I have a tomato here. This is called a black creme tomato. And look at this tomato, you guys. It's so beautiful. Pretty big too. Oh my gosh. And I think it's gonna turn soon, because from my understanding, when they are not done sizing up, they'll be a little bit more dull. But when they're done growing and they've reached the size that they're gonna be, they get a little shiny right before they turn. So this one will probably turn soon. It's gonna be like a purplish reddish color, and it has a bit of a smoky flavor, but it also has, it's like nice and salty naturally, and also sweet. It's just so good. I can't wait to taste that again. And we've got plenty more growing up here. Here we go. And this plant goes really high, you guys. I mean, it's almost reaching the top deck. So I just put a string up there, and hopefully it'll reach the top, because I think it would be really cool to pick a tomato from the top deck. So I'm hoping that it actually gets that tall. Coming around, well, let's go around this way. Coming around this way, I have an arch trellis that I built that goes from this side of the raised bed over to another raised bed on this side. And I'm hoping to have the cucumbers come up on this side, which they're finally coming up, looking amazing. I think this is a Suyo Long cucumber, and this one over here is a Space Master, I believe. I just did 2 because I don't know how big they're gonna get, but I feel like 2 is probably gonna fill up the width of this trellis, so I don't want to overcrowd it. And I'm just so happy because I've had so many issues with the pill bugs eating my little seedlings before they can even come out of the ground. So I did have to use some Sluggo on here, and as much as I dislike using anything in the garden, I definitely use a little bit of Sluggo. I just sprinkled some around the base of the plant, and I only had to do that one time, and it really helped to mitigate my pill bug issue. But hopefully as I continue to learn and build my soil, I will have less and less of those problems, so I won't have to use anything. But when I do, it's definitely in moderation, and I try to get the best thing that I can that doesn't harm the beneficial insects. So there is the cucumber, and then in the middle, right in between this trellis, is some flowers here. I don't know the name of these, but they're so beautiful, so stunning. And this is the 3rd year that they came up, so definitely a perennial. And they attract lots of pollinators, especially bees. Really great plant to have. Oops. Took off 2 leaves by accident, but they're so pretty. Wow. And then in front of that, I have some rosemary, and this rosemary is looking so good. It seems to be getting its color back. We actually got this from someone who was moving, and they didn't want their rosemary plant, so we dug it up and planted it in our yard. And it definitely took some time to get acclimated to the soil, but it seems to be getting its groove back. That bright green color is coming back, so I'm really happy about that. And so excited to have a perennial bush of rosemary in the garden, so we can have rosemary for years and years to come. And Oh, this water is leaking if you hear a noise back there. In front of that, I've got some white sage that I started from seed. Looking really amazing. I'm cherishing this plant because it was really hard to germinate those seeds, but I definitely got a good 2 or 3 of them to survive. So I'm hoping to have this be another perennial herb bush that I have here in the garden. So I can't wait for that. These 2 are great nervines, so they're really great for the nervous system, really great for memory, for brain health, and for focus. So it's really fitting that they're growing next to each other. And over here on the other side of the trellis, I have some green beans that are actually starting to come up out of the soil. If you can see, the soil is a bit raised because that green bean is definitely coming up. This is one that I transplanted, and it definitely has some green beans on it. Look at that. So exciting. And then we've got another one coming here, and you see those pill bugs? I might have to use a little sluggo over here. They will eat this off before it can even do anything. It's very frustrating, but that's why I grow a lot of them, to kind of make up for that. And I'm hoping that they grow up this trellis. It would be so amazing to see this trellis really fill out and be a canopy of cucumbers and green beans. I think that would look so beautiful. And we got a little surprise here on the ground. Look at this. This is a rutabaga, a giant rutabaga. Look at that. I just picked this. I'm sorry y'all didn't see it, but I picked it from in the second raised bed that I'm about to show you, and it is so huge. It's a great potato replacement. It doesn't taste exactly like a potato, but it's still a great potato replacement, and it's great for your gut and all around great root vegetable to have in your garden. So I highly recommend you try it. If you haven't, you just might like it. So let me show you where that came from. That came from here in this little garden, in this little raised bed. I've got one right there, and I've got one back there. I think they're doing well because this is a bit more shaded, and rutabaga is more of a cool weather vegetable. So I think the reason why they're still doing good is because it's more shaded in this area of the garden. And right here was where I pulled it from. This is a squash that didn't get pollinated, so I threw that back in there. But this is where it was. So usually what I'll do is I'll pull some of the leaves off of the rutabaga, and I'll stuff them back in that area just to add some nutrients into the soil and to kind of give back and say thank you for giving me such a delicious rutabaga. And in front of that, I have a foxglove. This has the most gorgeous flowers I've ever seen, and I can't wait to show you all how the flowers look. Hopefully we'll get another set of flowers before the winter. But they're now going to seed, and you can hear the seeds inside. So I'm going to be harvesting those, and this is going to be a new permanent flower that I keep in my garden because they are just so stunning. This is called a foxglove flower. To the left of that, I've got a bunch of flowering parsley going to seed. These look like they're actual immature seeds here. This is how they look when they flower. The pollinators love them. There's so many on here, big and small, just lots and lots of pollinators. And I love letting some things go to seed because not only does it feed the pollinators, but it also allows me to be able to collect seeds so that I can grow my own seeds. I feel like when I save my own seed and I grow them, they're stronger, they grow better, and they grow a lot faster. So I definitely want to get into saving all of my own seeds. Coming this way, let me show you this beautiful view of the banana trees And then the squash plant that's trailing through there in the grass. Such a beautiful sight. And that squash plant is actually a volunteer. And like I showed you earlier, there were a couple of squashes that, actually two, that did not get pollinated, which was really sad. So it took me a while to have the heart to pull them off, but I was like, okay, it hasn't been pollinated, it's soft and turning yellow, so I just would take them off and throw them, back into the soil. But since we have plenty of male flowers coming on now, as you can see, and plenty of wonderful pollinators, and they're doing their thing, we actually have a squash that got pollinated, and it is so amazing. Let me show you. All the way up here. You guys, look at this squash. Oh my goodness. So amazing. This is so cool because I've seen the other ones when the flower closes, and it's so disheartening when you see that they haven't bulged out, but this one has definitely bulged out. So it is 100% pollinated, and we're gonna get a squash. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. And this, I don't know what variety this is. So if you're great with recognizing squash plants, let me know in the comments what variety you think this is. I think it could be a Long Island cheese or maybe a Cushaw, but I'm not sure. I'm just so amazed at how that looks. It is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so moving on. Back this way. I'm gonna show you another raised bed garden. We got some echinacea growing here. Beautiful purple echinacea flowers. Definitely can harvest some of these. I like to harvest them and let them dry and use them in a tea. But I do also leave some there for the pollinators because the bees love them. There we have it. And coming across here is my 2x6 carrot bed. Got lots of carrots growing in here. So I'm hoping that these make it through this hot summer and that they will size up when the fall comes and really sweeten up. I'm seeing some carrots that are popping up. The base of them are popping up out of the soil, which is a great sign. And usually when they get like this and they're so close together, it's good to pick one or thin them out by picking one to make more space for the other to grow. But I kind of want them to just push each other out of the way because it would be cool if I can have a bunch of large carrots, and I really don't want to thin them out too much. So what I need to do is I'm going to keep this soil nice and moist, which, shame on me, I need to do better with that. Because I just want to keep the soil soft enough to where they can actually push each other out of the way if they needed to. But yeah, hopefully by October we'll have lots of giant sweet carrots, because when the weather cools down, all of the sugars accumulate in the root of the carrot, and so you get sweeter carrots. And coming over to this side, over here I've got some cucumbers growing. This is a Space Master cucumber, and it has cucumbers on it, lots of flowers and some cucumbers, as you can see. Look at that. So when they're at this flowering stage and when they're making cucumbers, it's important to keep them very well watered, like consistently watered. So I try to do a nice deep watering every other day at least. And I also put some wood chips here on the bottom so that it can help to hold in that moisture and keep the plant nice and healthy. I also tied a string here that goes from the stem all the way up to this cattle panel. So hopefully it'll reach this and then it'll be able to go wherever it needs to go. I have another one growing over here, which is a different variety. I believe this is a Suyo Long cucumber, but doing really good. And this soil must be great, and this plant looks really healthy because I see lots of pill bugs, but no one's actually attacking my plant. Do I need to knock on wood? I'm so grateful for that, and I hope that it stays that way. If they're not bothering it, I don't do anything. I don't put anything down. Only if I see them actually, eating at the plant, then I'll probably put a little bit of Sluggo down one time just to mitigate the issue. But it seems to be doing fine, so I'm leaving it as it is. And it's sometimes good to let your crops get some bumps and bruises because that helps them release phytochemicals so that they can protect themselves, which means a healthier and more nutritious plant, which means healthier and more nutritious produce for you. To the left of that is a bunch of comfrey. So I actually got a bunch of little cuttings of comfrey from my neighbor. So shout out to my neighbor, he gives us lots of cool things. The comfrey was maybe this big, the little stems, and I planted them all throughout the garden, and now we have bushes of beautiful, healthy, luscious comfrey growing all throughout the garden. This is a really amazing crop because it mines minerals out of the soil and kind of pulls them up to the surface. So naturally, all of the surrounding crops will benefit from those nutrients being pulled up. That's why I love to grow it around my other plants. And I also harvest the leaves and make comfrey salves as well for healing muscle aches, sprains, bruises. So yeah, great plant to have. And to the left of that, coming this way, I have some mountain mint growing, looking amazing. This mountain mint is actually from a farm that I work on that has lots of delicious mountain mint. And so I took a cutting and I rooted it and I planted it here. It was just one little cutting and it grew into this gigantic mountain mint bush. So beautiful. And if you like more of a milder peppermint tea flavor, I highly recommend growing this variety because it's, in my opinion, it's a lot more mild. And this mountain mint steeped with some stevia, which is a naturally sweet herb, tastes like a melted peppermint patty. It's so delicious. To the left of that, I've got some lemongrass growing, really sizing up. These can get really huge, so don't be fooled by how skinny it looks right now. It's gonna get pretty big. And in the middle aisle here, I have some, these are just some cover crops that I have growing. Looks like something's been eating at them. But it's just for cover cropping. I let the seeds drop and reseed themselves. And in front of that, I've got some peppers. Peppers are far and few in this garden, so I'm really cherishing the ones that I have. This is a big red pepper. I recently mulched it just to help it get a little bit healthier, get a little bit greener, hold in the moisture. So it seems to be liking that. And then in front of that, I have a golden Greek pepper here, looking good. A little bit more green than the other one, so that's a good sign. And I also mulched that as well. Over to this side, we've got more cover crops, more random bean plants that I'm growing. Some lettuce here that's still kicking. Beautiful red lettuce. And some basil that I actually need to top some of this off. More basil. And this, I'm really excited about this melon. This right here is called a banana melon. And from what I've heard, it is kind of tastes like a mixture of a cantaloupe with a little bit of a banana flavor. Really interested in trying that. Let me know in the comments if you've ever tried a banana melon, what it tastes like. Did you like it? I'm really excited to see how it tastes. And I think I see a female female one here because it has the long oval looking melon on it and not just the flower part. It's a little yellow, but I think the actual fruit is a little bit yellow, so I don't know if that's supposed to be yellow right now at this stage, or if it's not supposed to be. We'll have to wait and see. But there's the banana melon. I have a couple stems going. There's one stem going this way. I've got one stem going this way, and I was gonna just have two, and it's actually trailing up here. But I did not have the heart to remove this stem because it has a fruit on it. But honestly, I probably should, so that more energy can go into the two main ones that I have going. So I just haven't gotten the heart to remove it yet because it has a fruit on it. And moving on to this side of the bed. This is another 2x6 raised bed. It looks a little crazy over here, a little bit messy, but that's because I actually am kind of transitioning this garden. So there's some radishes that have gone to seed that I think I might let them dry out and harvest these seeds. And then I have some cilantro that also is going to seed that I'm going to be collecting. As you can see, so that's what I have growing all throughout here. But I do have some endive that's looking pretty good. I have a butternut squash that's doing a little something something in here. And I have a Amish melon that looks really healthy. Seems to be thriving. Oh my gosh, and I see a female flower. Wow. That's definitely got to be a female flower there. So I need to get this together, clear it out, mulch it, and keep it well watered because the melons and the squash in here started to flower, started to fruit. So that's that bed. And let's see. Across here I've got lots of comfrey growing and a random tomato plant. This tomato plant was struggling at first, but I watered it, put some mulch down, and it seems to be, the new growth seems to be a lot more green, so that's a good sign. This is a work in progress here. I'm going to be putting cucumbers and green beans here, so it's a little crazy looking right now because it's also in transition stage. But yeah, I think that is going to conclude this part 2 of the garden tour. We've almost reached 30 minutes and I don't want this to be too long. But you all can let me know in the comments if you don't mind longer videos. I try to keep them like 20 minutes tops, no more than 25 minutes, but this one went a little bit longer than expected, so I hope you don't mind, and I hope you enjoyed this garden tour. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you all in part 3, yes, part 3 of this garden tour, because there's more to show, and I'm really excited for it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you felt inspired to grow your own food, or even that this video just brought you peace and happiness and calmness, because that is the goal. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day. Bye!